Hello and welcome back to No Man's Sky. My name is Spanj, and today I'm going to be taking you through how to create large open plan areas inside your Corvettes like this one here, which I created on my Animus of Madness ship. If you want to see a full tour of this ship, check the link above and the video at the end of this one. But yeah, it is possible to create large open plan areas and decorate them with a lot of the decoration blocks that you can get in the game. It is tricky, and I'm going to show you how to do it. First of all, let's go ahead to the workshop and we're going to create a new Corvette. Bingo. So always start with a modified landing pad of some sorts, and then we can start building up our habs. Now, unfortunately, the only way to create an inside area that has walls, ceiling, and roof is to take your Corvette 3 decks high. So you might want to use habs, because then you're using one piece rather than two to create the same space. And obviously habs will start creating internal space and stuff like that as well. But yeah, you need to go 3 high. So let's create a nice decent space here. I'll just use this as our internal space. Let's say those 3 blocks there. And we've got the habs above as well. So this is where we'll start using walkways. I'm just going to use the Thunderbird here. 1, 2, and then we're going to use a Titan class landing bay. It has to be a Titan class because some reason the Ambassador class has some kind of collision box with it, doesn't let you actually squeeze through. We flip that on that side, flip it again on that side. Now that creates an entranceway at the front and the back area of your room. Now we need to surround the room in walls, and we need to fill over the top as well. Okay, on my Animus of Madness, I left an open air ceiling there just for effect, so it's entirely up to you whether you put a roof on it. But either way, I suppose you could leave a roof open and just have a nice open air balcony. It's entirely up to you. But this is the key, the boarding ramps. Having one either end. I suppose you just need one entrance to it if you just want one way in, one way out. Now, I used a particular technique with the Animus of Madness here. I didn't want it to go too wide. I suppose, you know, if you end up putting another hab there in order to put a wall there and you know, the same on the other side, the ship suddenly becomes extremely large and unwieldy. But essentially, you want to put a wall everywhere, and there we go. And then you would just build up and put a roof over the top, right? So that's how you'd create your internal space. That's as simple as it can get, really. You know, but you're spamming so many habs that it becomes kind of impractical to do it that way. So one of the techniques that I used, so if I cut this back to just the middle bit there, because we can use say the cowlings, so all the cowlings here can be used. Probably one of the nicest ones from upside down is the firebox, because you've got to consider as well, upside down is going to be your floor that you're going to be walking along. You don't necessarily have to do it this way. This is one of the ways that I found it to be quite easy to get that width that you need. You could use this, but you're going to create a lot of gaps on the floor, look. So at least with the cowling, it's reasonably flat throughout. The other things are quite good is relay joints are quite good. Ducting joints have got a lot of lumpiness on them, so not as good. And you just got to take into account, you know, using things like that, it's got massive amounts of pipes on it, and it's stuff that's not very good to walk on, you know. So the relay joints for me, and the Firebird, which is that one there, cowling is probably the best to create the floor. Once you've got that width, the width there though, you can't place blocks on the end of these, by the way. You'll need to create something to then place the blocks off of, and then you can remove those, and you've then got your walls basically. On my ship, I used these walls were generators and these sorts of blocks here. There wasn't anything like particularly crazy going on there. But yeah, that's it really. That's it. You just create that space there, and just be careful, I think, with how many blocks you're using. Like using these here, that's two But if I was to use, say, a hab instead, that's 1 for the same length. And potentially I could put windows in that and it would look quite cool from the outside. So yeah, one thing I found with my build is that the 100 part limit comes quick when you're building something this big and building around it. But that is essentially it. Once you've got these in place, you've got your way into this open plan area and your way out. There is some consideration to deal with where this ramp goes. Now, this is a problem when it's in a station. You can kind of see, when I highlight that, you can see the ramp. It's going through the floor into the hab below. Now, if I put another one on the end here, thank you, we can actually see that ramp on the inside, which blocks our path. So what I've found is best, take that off, put in a little, put 2 walkways here, take this out and this out, put a hab in, that out. So basically I just sort of budged that along basically. So I got this one little gap here. Now this little gap here, we don't really want to put a walkway there that we walk through. So we just put in something like a relay joint, right? Okay, so now that is going into a relay joint, which is not a passable area anyway. We can put a ladder up into this walkway so that we can then go up and into the space. Now, if you wanted to access this hab in the middle, we'd have to then put habs around it and a walkway at least. Okay, and then we would be able to go around, so we'd be able to go around like that, go around the walkway, the relay, sorry. And that is the only way to really save yourself from these ramps when you're in a station. Now, when you're out and about, those ramps actually collide with these parts, so it's not a problem. It's only a problem when you're in a station. They glitch through and they end up blocking access through the hab. So bear that in mind in your build. If you're doing this, these things can be a problem. Hopefully one day Hello Games will just give us some airlocks, just doors that we can use to go into onto the outer hull, basically. But for now, that's pretty much it. Like I said before, you can choose whether you put a roof on this thing or not. That's up to you. But yeah, you just will build over the top. And that's it. Yeah, there's your 3 decks. 1, 2, 3. That's how you would create an open plan space that has a roof, walls, and ceiling. You just build around that, basically. And just like I say, watch out for that 100-piece limit. So on the Animus of Madness here, and I'll link a full tour video of this ship for you if you want to have a look. But we've got the same problem that I just described, where the ramp is actually going down behind this wall. So I had to go around it, then up, and then back on myself to access this area. And there we go. I also opted to not have a roof, just because I wanted this sort of open air feel to it. I was hoping to have glass panels across the top, but there we go. So you can see the relay joint blocks that I used on the floor here. And over here are some of the cowlings that actually I used ones that don't have a very nice floor on and covered them up with rugs. But you can see why it's quite important to have blocks on the floor that aren't that lumpy. Now, in terms of all the deco here, obviously if we hit Z, and then we've got things like the flat panels and stuff, which I used here because there is gapping. I'll try and find some. You can see between this module here, there's a bit of gapping in the corner there. So I used servers. So these are quite good because everything can be scaled up. And they kind of clip in quite nicely. So they formed quite a nice little wall. And they're quite good for then attaching other things to them. So a mix of panels and servers to seal some of the gaps. Like, for example, this one's quite a lot of pipes. You can actually see straight out there. It's not too important because obviously I've left the roof open anyway. But if you had gaps between your blocks, that is something you could use in order to seal them up. These are pretty fiddly to rotate and, like I say, scale and stuff, but with enough patience, you can place them all over the place and create some nice rooms. That's how you do it. Pretty cool that it lets you do it, and it add all the base deco onto the ship, and it seems to fly around fine. There doesn't seem to be much in the way of performance issues here. I get a smooth 60 frames per second everywhere I go. I'd love to see some more designs like this coming up in the community using these open plan spaces, and see if this actually takes off and becomes a thing. And like I say, maybe if it does, Hello Games will give us those airlocks and those glass panels that I need so badly. I hope you found this useful, and I hope you liked the video. But thank you so much for watching. Hopefully, I'll see you next time. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.